Gilberto Rodriguez Orejuela, known as the chess player, was a mastermind of the drug world. He co-founded the Cali cartel, a ruthless Colombian cocaine empire. Rodriguez amassed immense wealth and power through trafficking. His cartel became a dominant force in the global drug trade. Rodriguez, a calculating strategist, preferred bribery over bloodshed. This approach allowed the Cali cartel to thrive under the radar for years. They infiltrated governments and corrupted officials on a grand scale. Rodriguez, a master manipulator, understood the power of money in buying loyalty and silence. This approach helped him evade authorities for decades. The chess player's reign, however, was not invincible. His empire, built on corruption and cocaine, eventually crumbled. Rodriguez's rise and fall serve as a cautionary tale. Gilberto Rodriguez Orejuela's journey into the dark heart of drug trafficking began in Cali, Colombia. Born into poverty, Rodriguez yearned for a life beyond his humble beginnings. He started small, engaging in petty crime with his brother Miguel. Their early ventures involved counterfeiting and smuggling. These illicit activities served as a stepping stone into the more lucrative world of drug trafficking. The Rodriguez brothers recognized the immense profits to be made from cocaine. They started small, smuggling relatively minor quantities of cocaine. Their ambition, however, soon grew alongside their profits. They sought to expand their operations, muscling their way into the larger cocaine trade. The Rodriguez brothers formed the Cali cartel, consolidating their power and influence. Their reach extended far beyond Colombia's borders, penetrating lucrative markets in the United States and Europe. The cartel's success was built on a foundation of ruthless efficiency and strategic alliances. The Cali cartel, under Gilberto Rodriguez Orejuela's leadership, adopted a unique strategy. Instead of relying solely on violence, they prioritized bribery. Rodriguez, a cunning strategist, understood that influence was more effective than intimidation. He cultivated a vast network of corrupt officials across various sectors. This included law enforcement, judiciary, and government agencies. These officials, bought with cartel money, turned a blind eye to their illicit activities. Bribery became a cornerstone of the Cali cartel's operations. It allowed them to operate with relative impunity for years. They infiltrated legitimate businesses and government institutions. This provided a veneer of legitimacy to their vast drug trafficking empire. Rodriguez's philosophy was simple: silver or lead. This strategy proved highly effective. The reign of Gilberto Rodriguez Orejuela, the mastermind behind the Cali cartel, was not destined to last. As the cartel's wealth and power grew, so did international pressure to dismantle their empire. The United States, grappling with the devastating consequences of cocaine flooding its streets, spearheaded the offensive against Colombian drug lords. The Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, intensified its efforts to target the cartel's leadership. Colombian authorities, under immense pressure from the U.S., also stepped up their pursuit of Rodriguez. They launched Operation Green Ice, a massive operation aimed at dismantling the cartel's financial infrastructure. This operation dealt a significant blow to the cartel's operations, seizing assets and disrupting their money laundering networks. Rodriguez, once seemingly untouchable, found himself increasingly isolated. Informants, fearing for their lives and enticed by rewards, began cooperating with authorities. The net was tightening, and Rodriguez's days as a free man were numbered. The long arm of the law finally caught up with Gilberto Rodriguez Orejuela in June 1995. Acting on intelligence, Colombian authorities tracked him down to a luxury apartment in Cali. He was arrested, ending his reign as the head of the Cali cartel. His brother Miguel was apprehended 3 months later. The arrests sent shockwaves through the criminal underworld. The seemingly invincible Cali cartel was decapitated. Rodriguez's trial was a high-profile affair, captivating the world's attention. He was extradited to the United States in 2004 to face charges of drug trafficking and money laundering. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison in 2006. His brother Miguel received a similar sentence. Their empire, built on cocaine and corruption, lay in ruins. The fall of the Rodriguez brothers marked a turning point in the fight against drug trafficking. The Cali cartel, under Gilberto Rodriguez Orejuela's leadership, amassed a staggering fortune. Laundering these illicit profits became a top priority. The cartel employed sophisticated techniques to cleanse their money. They used a complex web of shell companies, front businesses, and offshore accounts to disguise the origin of their wealth. Money laundering allowed them to invest in legitimate businesses, real estate, and luxury assets, further expanding their influence. One of their most common tactics involved using money exchanges. They would deposit small amounts of cash at various locations. This would avoid triggering reporting requirements. These funds were then transferred to accounts controlled by the cartel, effectively integrating them into the legal financial system. They also invested heavily in businesses that handled large amounts of cash, such as restaurants, casinos, and nightclubs. With the advent of digital currencies, the Cali cartel recognized their potential in money laundering. They used online exchanges and peer-to-peer transactions to convert their drug money into digital assets. Corruption was not just a consequence of the Cali cartel's operations, it was a fundamental pillar of their success. They systematically infiltrated and compromised institutions at all levels of Colombian society. Law enforcement, judiciary, politicians, and even religious leaders were on their payroll. This web of corruption allowed them to operate with virtual impunity for years. Judges were bribed to dismiss cases or issue lenient sentences. Police officers were paid to turn a blind eye to their activities or even provide protection. Politicians were bankrolled in exchange for favorable legislation and looking the other way. This pervasive corruption created an environment where the cartel could flourish. They were able to operate openly, intimidate rivals, and silence those who dared to oppose them. The corrosive effects of the Cali cartel's corruption extended far beyond their immediate sphere of influence. It eroded public trust in institutions, undermined the rule of law, and fueled a climate of fear and violence. The arrest of Gilberto Rodriguez Orihuela in 1995 was a result of a multi-year, multinational effort. The DEA, working closely with Colombian authorities, launched a series of operations targeting the Cali cartel's leadership. They used a combination of intelligence gathering, surveillance, and controlled buys to build their case. Informants, motivated by fear or greed, provided crucial information about the cartel's inner workings. The pressure on Rodriguez and his inner circle intensified. They became increasingly isolated as their network crumbled around them. They went into hiding, moving from one safe house to another, but their days as free men were numbered. The final blow came when authorities acting on a tip-off raided an apartment in Cali. They found Rodriguez hiding inside, bringing an end to his reign as the head of the Cali cartel. Rodriguez's capture was hailed as a major victory in the war on drugs. However, the dismantling of the Cali cartel did not eradicate the drug trade in Colombia. The Cali cartel, despite its demise, left an indelible mark on Colombia and the global drug trade. Their influence continues to be felt today. The cartel's legacy is a complex and multifaceted one. It serves as a reminder of the devastating consequences of drug trafficking. One of the most significant impacts of the Cali cartel was the normalization of corruption within Colombian society. Their willingness to bribe officials at all levels created a culture of impunity. This culture persisted long after the cartel's dismantling. It continues to undermine the rule of law and hinder efforts to build a more just and equitable society in Colombia. The cartel's operations also fueled violence and instability in Colombia. This violence left deep scars on Colombian society, contributing to a climate of fear and distrust. The dismantling of the Cali cartel did not bring an end to drug trafficking in Colombia. New cartels emerged, often comprised of former members of dismantled organizations. They quickly filled the void left by their predecessors. These new cartels proved to be just as ruthless and sophisticated as their predecessors. They continued to export cocaine to lucrative markets around the world. The Colombian government, with the support of the United States, continues to wage a war on drugs. This war, however, has proven to be a costly and seemingly endless one. Billions of dollars have been spent on eradication efforts, interdiction, and law enforcement operations. While these efforts have had some successes, they have failed to stem the flow of drugs from Colombia. The resilience of the drug trade in Colombia highlights the complexities of this global challenge. As long as this demand exists, there will always be those willing to supply it. The story of Gilberto Rodriguez Orihuela and the Cali cartel is a stark reminder of the power and reach of drug trafficking organizations. Their rise and fall highlight the complexities of tackling this global issue. While law enforcement efforts are crucial, they alone cannot eradicate the drug trade. A comprehensive approach is needed, one that addresses the root causes of drug trafficking. This includes poverty, lack of opportunities, and corruption. The legacy of the Cali cartel continues to cast a long shadow over Colombia. Corruption, violence, and the erosion of public trust are just some of the challenges the country continues to grapple with today. However, amidst these challenges, there is hope. Civil society organizations, community leaders, and courageous individuals are working tirelessly to build a better future for Colombia. The fight against drug trafficking is a long and arduous one. The quest for a world free from the scourge of drugs is a shared responsibility, one that demands our unwavering attention and collective action.